In today's video, we're going to be taking a big look at the tropics where we still have that one in the middle of the Atlantic. As you can see, we have a couple of smaller areas of concern near the United States, as you can see, as well as near Central America. So those are the two primary areas we're going to be adding to our discussion today. And then we're going to break down the upcoming pattern. There is some roller coasters still with those temperatures. But not only that, we do actually anticipate a strong cold front that could bring some pretty severe storms to the eastern United States in the beginning of August. We need to talk about that one because it is coming up soon, and it looks like one of the more impactful situations on the way very, very shortly. Now, before we get into things, be sure to check out Prestige Weather in the description and pin comment down below where we do early access to our seasonal and monthly forecasts, as well as weekly consulting calls that you guys can get once a week if you join today. Not only that, we do have some very, very interesting new features on the way that I think are going to be absolutely groundbreaking. So we have some super exciting stuff that, as you can tell, I am so excited to talk about. And that's coming very, very soon. Let's get straight into things. And first things first, like I mentioned, we are taking a look at the tropics here. We do have a 60% chance of development over the next 7 days. And now we have a 20% chance over the next 48 hours, so it's starting to trickle into the short term where we may begin to see some development take place. As you can see, this has taken a very far northern trend to where now we're not talking about the Caribbean as much as we're talking about Bermuda and kind of the middle of the Atlantic there. So this might be another fish storm for the most part. We're still going to track it daily just as easily as it has trended north. It can trend back south, so we need to still watch this one ever so closely. But for now, that chance is diminishing a little bit. As you can see, we have a 0% chance over the next 48 hours and over the next 7 days here with this system. So why is it popping up here? I do not know. This one, however, we do have a 10% chance of development over both the next 48 hours and the next 7 days. And then here, as you can see, we have a 20% chance of development over the next 48 hours, as I mentioned, but now a 60% chance of development over the next 7 days. This might be one of our first code reds here popping up soon. If it goes up any from here, it will be a red, not orange. So definitely looking at a pretty elevated chance of some more tropical activity on the way very, very soon. As we take a look at our upcoming pattern, I want to walk us through later today where there is some pockets of storms. We do have a 1,000 millibar low pressure center there over eastern Canada, and this is bringing some storminess to a lot of the eastern states and eastern Canada areas. We can see that over the southeast, we do have a lot of thunderstorm activity rolling through. Again, I've talked about it time and time again, but this is very, very common for this time of year, so I don't want to spend too much time talking about that. We can see that over the Great Lakes, the northern plains, the upper Midwest, and the Ohio Valley, we do have some scattered about thunderstorms throughout the day today. Certainly going to be worth noting. Not only that, we do see that our Rockies, as we've been talking about for a while now, are dealing with some scattered about thunderstorms as well. Now, as we take a look at tomorrow on Saturday the 29th, we can see a 1,005 millibar low pressure center here. And this is bringing thunderstorms up and down the East Coast, but especially here in the Northeast for states like Pennsylvania, New York, and then southern New England. We're going to be taking a look at some pretty organized thunderstorms rolling through. Now, those northern plains back down through the Midwest, we are seeing another area of some pretty concentrated thunderstorm activity as well. And that is going to be worth noting. So a little bit more of an active day tomorrow. Sunday looking a little less active. There is this area here near the Midwest where we're seeing some organized thunderstorms. Still, the Rockies dealing with these scattered about little cells. And then the southeast and even up into the northeast, we are dealing with some isolated to scattered thunderstorm activity still ongoing at this point. By the time we reach towards Monday the 31st here, as you can see, for the eastern seaboard, all the way from Florida to the northeast, we are seeing some scattered about thunderstorms with some areas of more organized cells. As you can see, this model is pointing out the New England and northeast area, Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina into North Carolina, and then down south for Florida as some more areas to watch for later on the day on Monday. Also, the northern plains here seeing some of this activity. So we are dealing with some multiple areas dealing with this thunderstorm activity. Now for Tuesday, August 1st, we can see that there is some more activity still ongoing there for the southeast coast. The southern Rockies especially here, we're seeing a little bit more organized thunderstorm activity around for these mountainous areas. I just want to take us straight towards August 2nd here on Tuesday. We do have a little bit more potential tropical activity here for the southeast, as there is just some organized thunderstorms around for this area. Wouldn't be surprised to see some development with that much activity happening in one place. I think it's also worth noting that the Rockies continue to pick up even further steam with that thunderstorm activity. Certainly going to be worth noting there. Let's move it towards Thursday afternoon on the 3rd, and we can see a 998 millibar low pressure center. Very, very large storm taking place here for kind of the eastern inland areas of Canada. This is leading towards some thunderstorm activity down south for the states underneath. Also widespread thunderstorm activity around for those Canadian regions there. We still do see these active areas there in the northern Rockies this time around. But overall, if you're outside of those two areas, it is a little bit quieter, I must mention. Now here is that major cold front that we're taking a look at. 1,000 millibar over top, and then just very, very intense summertime cold front look. And honestly, we're going to cut it a little short of that. We're going to do this, because this is the main area where we see organized thunderstorms from Virginia northward up into New England even. We're dealing with very widespread straight line wind potential threat for thunderstorms, and this could be a very linear type of storm mode, so we need to watch this ever so closely, especially for those wind-driven impacts, as I mentioned before. Very intense thunderstorms tend to happen with this type of a setup. We still see the Rockies and the plains just to the east of them dealing with a lot of thunderstorm activity. Certainly very, very interesting. Sunday the 6th here, we see that all of that activity moves out. We do see kind of this area along that northern jet, which is now doing pretty much this right now. We are seeing some thunderstorms developing along that line, if you will. And that is going to be bringing even more activity potentially for certain areas. Now, the total precipitation, you can see that there's two main areas that we're taking a look at for above average activity. It's here in the northern plains through the upper Midwest here, even just kind of the Midwest in general, down in Missouri, Illinois, Kentucky. That is where we're taking a look at some of those reds. And then not only that, we see up and down the eastern seaboard here. So something exactly like this is what we're taking a look at. These areas are where we're seeing 2 to 5 inches of precipitation in the reds, which is certainly far above normal as far as precipitation this time of year is concerned. Anywhere in the yellows is going to be about 1 inch to 2 inches above average, so about average to slightly above average. And then anywhere in the blues, greens, we're taking a look at maybe average precipitation to below average precipitation. And then obviously your grays and whites is where we are below normal to pretty much none in the whites as far as the next 10 days are concerned. But these two areas in general that I circled are going to be our areas we're watching for above average activity. Let's get straight into the temperature pattern. As you can see, we are in a huge warm up in the east, but we see this major cool down start to work its way in already by the time we're reaching midweek this week, or kind of the earlier portion actually on Tuesday. But we see cold air making a push down south for the east, and this is going to take us from the mid 90s down to the lower 80s. So this is going to be a 10 degree plus temperature swing. We do see some cooler temperatures set up over the west, and this is going to be a little bit of a negative PNA. Usually this does not encourage cold to enter into the east, but this time around we do see that happening, and most of this warmth is actually just to the east of these western states, so more over the central states if anything. Let's keep this going, and we can see this cold wants to hang on for dear life all the way through Friday, so late week for August 4th, but it is kind of coming to an end as we see this much more major cold air mass setting up over here. Most of the warmth is now over this area here, and then we see more neutral temps for the east there. As we continue this on, we do see that this cold does kind of make a comeback. I think this is mostly due in part to this warmer overall pattern out west here. So we see a positive PNA setting up, more Arctic cold air moving in. And overall, I think most people would like to see this just because it's a relief from that heat. We did have a pretty extensive period here of some warmth in the east, and it looks like it is coming to an end. Most of the warmth in the nation by the time we're ending this model run is going to be in this pocket here. This is going to be where we're at about August 12th time frame. And we can see most of the colder air is pouring into these areas here, a little bit here for the northern plains as well. That is where most of the cold is trying to go, most of the warmth being over the south central states, but also up here in the northwest as well. There is some cool in between, but overall this whole blob here is warmer than normal mostly. Anyway, be sure to subscribe. We do upload every single day, and we're going to keep you guys up to date with the tropics, these temperature patterns, the upcoming storms, and everything in between. So be sure to subscribe for those daily uploads. You can even hit the bell icon for daily notifications when we upload so you never miss one. Be sure to also like the video if you did enjoy it, leave a comment down below, and I will see you guys in the next video.